BassResinator here. This is my flower press. It's about 8 inches by 8 inches. I have had this since junior high. That means in 1972 or so, I got this. Now I have replaced some of the paper, the blotting paper in there, but it still works. I also had to replace the bottom piece of wood because the bottom one broke. But notice, pansies. Guess what I got in here? Just to see, or just to show you what influences me. Yeah. To where I do stuff like that. And that one changes color depending on which way you look. So I'm going to show you one of the ways that I preserve flowers, and it's pressing them. The other way I use is silica gel sand, but I'm going to show you how I get these out of here. There's a reason I have my business card here, because sometimes they stick to the blotting paper, so I have to slide that underneath, but you'll see. Okay, I got my hands free now. Just take these wing nuts off. With the length of these wing nuts, you'd think this this flower press could hold inches of stuff, and I guess it possibly could, but I've never done that. Not that thick. But the way that bottom piece of wood broke years ago was I had put a large flower in. And what you're supposed to do with these is you put the flower or whatever you're pressing, whether it's just a plant, leaf, flower, you put it in and you put the top on and you put the screws down a little bit, but you don't press it super hard. You let it set for about a day, and then you tighten the screws a little bit more, and then you tighten the screws a little more, and you just keep going until eventually, after about 3 or 4 days, you've got it flat. But unknown to me at that time, now I think I don't have anything in the first, I don't have anything in the first couple layers. And they have pieces of cardboard and then a type of paper that is thick, and then you got blotting paper. Okay. And that helps dry these things out. Now notice I have used this very well and a lot. Okay, here we've got some. Okay, none are sticking on there. These are the little Johnny jump ups. Oh. Okay, so they're relatively loose. But I just used that card to get underneath to loosen them, because you don't want to just rip them off. You'll end up tearing a piece of it. When you put things into a flower press, now that one's getting stuck, so I'll have to work on it in a bit. You can either put them face down or face up. I put these face down to hold them in place. Now this is the guy that was, let's see if I come from this side. There. Now you flip it over and you can see the face of the flower. Well, that was good. Just there you go. And they're not as, when you put them in here, you try and put them in the order that you would like. But when you put that top blotting paper down, you don't know if they're gonna fold on you a little bit or something. So sometimes they don't come out perfectly shaped. In fact, none of these really did. This is close, and this one is close. But they're not all perfectly shaped. Okay, so now I have this paper where I'm going to put these. And then I have a container, a plastic container, where I will put all these flowers. So now I have those there. And on some of these, I wanted leaves. So I have, oh, there's one stuck on the top side. There. So that I can use leaves. Now you see how that one right there bent over? And well, all of these, this one did not. But those two did. This one did. Now there's a flower underneath here on this one. Let's see what type of. Some of these Johnny Jump Ups, I picked them. Now that one is a good one. I picked them off the plant, and they were already old, and so that sounds bad. They were already starting to lose their shape. They were folding up. They were dying on the plant. That, you know, it's just the life of a flower. And so when I did that, I was able to keep those flowers even though they were on their last legs. So I was able to preserve them. So just because you have a flower that's starting to go doesn't mean you can't use it. So that's where flower presses come in and are very helpful. Okay, now oh, this one's got stuff sticking on the top. This is more of the pansy plants themselves. And then right here, I've got one of the older flowers. There we go. So it didn't have very much shape at all, but you can still see the flower there. Oy. And so this is a Johnny Jump Up on the plant. Here's a Johnny Jump Up. This is one of the ones that was getting old and losing its shape, but I was able to preserve it. That's another old one right there. These are not Johnny Jump Ups. These are yellow and brown. And all flowers, whether you dry them in silica gel or press them, they will lose a little bit of their vibrancy in color. See how that one got squished, and there's nothing you can do about it after it gets in there, but it leaves it open to where I can do all kinds of stuff with resin, or if I want to decoupage these down, I can do that as well. So a couple different ways. Now, when you got pressed flowers, they're flat. There's not much you're going to do with them as far as trying to keep the texture. That is why when my kids, a few years ago for Father's Day, it was during COVID, they said, we want you to have something to do, because teaching school remotely, especially choir, was not fun at all. And some subjects lend themselves to online learning. Choir is not one of them. But anyway, I was growing pansies and different flowers, and I thought, oh, these are really nice, but they're all flat. I would like to keep them to where they have shape like that and have the 3D effect. Well, you can't do that with a flower press. So there are pluses and minuses, depending on what type of thing you're wanting to do with your art. If you're wanting to make a bookmark where you have real flowers, then the flower press is probably one of the better ways to go because it's flat and you don't have to worry about the bookmark being an inch thick. But when you want a 3D effect, then you need to use some type of drying agent. You know, you can buy flowers that have already been, that somebody has preserved. I looked into, at one time, I thought, before I found silica gel sand. Sometimes wing nuts go real fast and sometimes they're just like, I thought, well, let me get a freeze dry machine. Oh no. First off, they're huge. And second, super expensive. And it's out of my budget range. So you can either buy them online, which I have had to do with dandelion fluffs. They don't grow here where I live. Now, there are plants that look like, sort of like a dandelion fluff, but they're not. They're a thistle, and they look sort of like it, but they're not. And they don't blow off like dandelions. So if I want to get something like that, either I go somewhere, travel, get some dandelion fluffs, spray hairspray on them to keep them in that shape, so you can travel with them a little bit, and then bring them home, or order them, which is what I've done. I've ordered 4, and I've put them in resin. They all came out really good. So anyway, this is a way to preserve your flowers. So if you're wanting to do flowers in your resin work, or even in painting, and then you can decoupage them down over the top of your paint. I don't know what you're wanting to do with your artwork, but whatever it is, there's multiple ways. You can do silica gel sand, and you put the flower in the position you want, cover it with the sand, let it set a few days, take them out, and they'll keep their 3D quality. Or you can go with a flower press. To put things into the flower press, there's quite a bit here, so I'm not going to show you all of that part. But I've got flowers over here to the side. Johnny Jump Up. Well, those gloves make it hard. Johnny Jump Up. And another pansy, kind of a reddish brown and yellow. And I've got a couple leaves here. And I want to show you, if I were to leave the flower with that stem, when it presses flat, that stem is going to get pushed down into the flower itself and leave a crease. So you'll see that there. So what I try to do, if for some reason I only want the flower, I will trim it right up to the flower base itself. And then that I can just throw away. I have some under here that I have left the stem, and you might see those when I take them out. You can either put them face up or face down. I like doing them face down because if it's like this and I put the next layer on top, I don't know if it'll fold over or not, and I would prefer it going flat, so that's why I go face down. This is blotting paper. It will help remove all kinds of moisture from these plants, from these flowers. You don't want them touching each other because if they are, when you go to pull them out, they will stay you won't be able to take them apart. Okay, with leaves, see how they're curled? All I can do is pray that they will come out. I know they're going to come out flat, but to get it to where it'll come out just like I want it, that's almost an impossibility. But I can try and do it the best as possible by putting down the next set of blotting paper and this green absorbent paper, putting it down very slowly. You don't want to be in a rush. Things will start moving around. Now it's sticking up a little bit. I can try and reposition those leaves to where they are down. I will tell you this, it's a hit and miss thing. But you see how it's poking up? There's going to be a little bit of weight, and then that cardboard adds more weight. Once it's down, they're down. So then we put this top piece of wood in place, line it up with the bolts, put on the wing nuts, just put them down tight, but not where you hear things cracking and stuff, because flowers, when you first start putting them in, you will hear them crunch. And if you start crunching them too much, it distorts the flower and it will leach out color. So you will end up with a much paler flower than what you put in. Now, all flowers do lose their color because they're no longer transporting that fluid through their veins, and that, you know, they lose their lifeblood, so to speak, and so they lose their color. But you just put these down, and every day, every day, come back. I was going to say every morning, and then you can do it again in the afternoon. Come back and tighten them a little bit. And what I mean by a little bit, I'll show you. That is just spin tight, right? Now, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I can feel it tugging. 2, 3. That's all I want to do. I'll come back tomorrow and do it one full turn on each. And I'll do that for a couple of days. After a week, you need to let them sit in here for a week. After a week, you can open it up and take them out, and you've got some pressed flowers. So, hope this is helpful. We'll see you for the next one. Happy pressing.